We stand at the threshold of a moment in time that is not ordinary, a moment that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting to be unveiled. August 30 is not simply a date on the calendar. It is a marker, a turning point, a signpost that speaks of deeper mysteries woven into the very fabric of history. If you search carefully, you will see that throughout the ages, certain days have carried within them events that shaped nations, turned empires, and shifted destinies. This is not coincidence. This is appointment. A day can be a summons, a reminder that what unfolds in the natural is tied to the spiritual, that the flow of history is never random but orchestrated with intention. And so, as August 30 approaches, we are invited to discern, to understand, and to awaken to what it signifies. When we speak of time, most of us think of it as a straight line, a sequence of hours and days that flow one after another without deeper meaning. Yet the truth is that time itself is not random. Time is not merely a human invention to mark seasons or to schedule our lives. Time was created with purpose, structured with intention, and filled with divine patterns that reveal the unfolding of destiny. Every day that passes is part of a greater tapestry, and within that tapestry, there are threads of significance that carry messages for those who are willing to look. Prophetic significance is hidden within dates, moments, and appointed times. This means that when we arrive at certain days, we are not just living through ordinary hours. We are stepping into moments that have been marked long before we were born. Moments that echo with meaning far beyond what we see on the surface. Consider the way that ancient civilizations recorded their histories, not only to preserve memory, but because they believed certain days held power. Kings and rulers often chose specific dates to make decrees, wage battles, or establish covenants, understanding that timing carried weight. Sacred texts remind us that there are appointed times, seasons of visitation, and days of reckoning. These were not accidents, they were purposeful. What happens on a given date is not isolated. It can connect to cycles and patterns that stretch back centuries. When we begin to look at time this way, we realize that August 30, like many dates that stand out in the flow of history, may be one of those appointed moments. It is a reminder that our lives do not unfold in chaos, but in a story far greater than ourselves, a story authored with design. Throughout history, entire nations have turned on the hinge of a single day. Battles have been won or lost, empires have risen or fallen, and destinies have shifted in an instant. But these events are rarely random. They often occur in alignment with patterns that were set in motion long before. Prophetic significance tells us that the physical world is often reflecting a spiritual reality. That means when something shifts on the stage of history, it is often connected to a deeper truth in the unseen. For those who remain unaware, the day may pass like any other. But for those with discernment, that day becomes a revelation, a signpost guiding them toward what is to come. This is why it is so vital to treat time as sacred, to understand that the calendar itself holds mysteries. Every sunrise is not just the start of another cycle of work or rest. It is another step in the unfolding plan. August 30 carries with it such significance, not only because of what might occur on that day, but because of what it represents in the broader rhythm of time. If we view it simply as another date, we miss the invitation it carries. But if we approach it with awareness, we may find that it opens our eyes to mysteries we have overlooked, to patterns that call us to prepare, to awaken, and to live with purpose. When we look at the flow of history, what appears to be coincidence often reveals itself to be connection, patterns hidden beneath the surface that weave past, present, and future together. Hidden patterns in history are not accidents. They are part of the design of time itself. Think of it like a melody that repeats through generations. Different instruments may play it, but the notes remain recognizable for those who are listening. Events that take place centuries apart may share uncanny similarities, moments that mirror each other as though time itself is echoing. These patterns serve as reminders that the forces shaping the world are not random. that there is a deeper hand guiding the course of nations and individuals alike. When we begin to recognize these patterns, we start to realize that history is not merely a record of what has been, it is also a prophecy of what is to come. Consider how great shifts often align with anniversaries. Wars that began or ended on the same dates years apart, leaders rising or falling on days that mirror one another, breakthroughs or disasters recurring at intervals that reveal more than chance. These are not meaningless coincidences. They are signposts. Ancient writings remind us that what has been will be again, that cycles of judgment, blessing, or warning repeat until their lessons are understood. When patterns reappear, they are like a voice calling through the corridors of time, urging those alive in the present not to dismiss them, but to discern their meaning. For the unaware, these repetitions may go unnoticed, dismissed as mere curiosities. But for those awake, they become keys to unlocking deeper understanding, guiding us to prepare for what is coming. August 30, in this light, is not just another date on the calendar, but a point where hidden patterns may converge. What has happened before on this day may offer glimpses into what is unfolding now or what lies ahead. We must ask ourselves, what cycles might be repeating, what echoes might be resonating from the past into our present? To dismiss these questions is to walk blindly, ignoring the compass that history offers us. But to seek these patterns is to embrace wisdom, to see beyond the noise of daily life, and to realize that we are part of a story larger than ourselves. Every hidden pattern in history carries a dual purpose. It warns and it prepares. Warnings remind us of paths that led to destruction, urging us not to repeat the same mistakes. Preparation equips us to seize opportunities that arise when history's rhythms bring us to a moment of decision. August 30 stands as one of those moments where the past and future seem to meet. It challenges us to remember that the unfolding of time is never meaningless, that the calendar is not just numbers but signs, and that the patterns of history are guiding us to open our eyes, awaken our spirits, and walk with intention into what is about to unfold. August 30 is not to be taken lightly, for it stands as more than a square on a calendar or a date circled in ink. It is a threshold, a turning point, a day that invites us to consider the weight of appointed times. Throughout history, there have always been dates that become markers, moments when the course of events shifted dramatically and nothing after was the same as before. These moments are often recognized only in hindsight, but the truth is that they were significant long before anyone understood them. August 30 carries that sense of significance, as if it has been set apart, as if it holds a mystery waiting to be unveiled. To view it simply as another passing day is to miss its deeper calling. It is as though time itself pauses to draw our attention, whispering that this moment bears a weight that cannot be ignored. What makes such a day different? It is not merely the clock striking midnight or the sun rising over the horizon. It is the convergence of cycles, the alignment of unseen forces, the weaving together of past, present, and future into a point of decision. A turning point is not always visible on the surface. To the casual observer, August 30 may unfold like any other day, ordinary hours filled with ordinary tasks. Yet beneath the surface, something stirs, a shift that affects more than one moment, extending its influence far into what lies ahead. Turning points are seldom recognized as they happen, but when we look back, we see that they were the hinges on which entire eras swung. To recognize August 30 as such a hinge is to acknowledge that time is speaking, that history is about to pivot, and that we are standing at the edge of transformation. But this turning point is not only collective, it is also personal. Just as nations face moments when their destiny shifts, so do individuals. August 30 challenges each of us to ask, what must I turn from and what must I turn toward? The day becomes not just a marker in the timeline of history, but a call to reorient our own lives. In every turning point, there is both risk and opportunity. Risk because to ignore the moment is to drift further from the path of purpose. Opportunity because to embrace it is to step into alignment with something greater than ourselves. August 30, then, is not simply about what the world may experience, it is about what we will choose to do with the revelation it carries. A turning point means change. It means the end of something familiar and the beginning of something new. August 30 stands as a reminder that change is not only inevitable but purposeful, that transitions are not accidents but invitations to grow, to awaken, and to prepare. It is a date that asks us to listen, to watch, and to discern. What is shifting? What is being birthed? What is being closed? What is being closed? In this way, August 30 becomes more than a date. It becomes a call, a summons to readiness, and a reminder that history itself is alive, moving, and waiting for our response. The greatest tragedy is not that signs go unseen, but that they are seen and dismissed. The call to awareness is not simply about observing what lies before our eyes. It is about perceiving the deeper meaning beneath it. So often, the world moves in a haze, people rushing through the motions of life, blind to the messages that are being whispered through events, patterns, and appointed times. The truth is that most of humanity lives as though asleep, their senses dulled by distraction, their spirits numbed by routine, unable to discern the hour in which they live. Awareness, then, is not natural, it is intentional. It requires a choice to open the eyes of the spirit, to listen beyond the noise, and to allow the deeper currents of time and destiny to come into focus. August 30 is one of those moments that demands awareness. To miss it is to drift further into slumber. To heed it is to awaken into purpose. Throughout history, those who were awake to the signs became voices of warning and preparation for their generation. They were not necessarily the strongest, the wealthiest, or the most influential by worldly standards, but they had sight. They recognized the significance of events that others overlooked, and because of that awareness, they were able to prepare themselves and lead others. Awareness is the difference between survival and destruction, between being swept away by change and being anchored within it. To be aware is to realize that nothing is meaningless, that even the smallest detail, the faintest pattern, the most subtle shift may carry a message. The calendar speaks, history speaks, creation itself speaks, but only those who choose to open their ears will hear. August 30 in this way is like a trumpet blast in the distance. Many will ignore it, continuing on as though nothing has changed. But for those who are attuned, it will not be a faint sound, but a call to awaken, to prepare, and to respond. Awareness is not passive. It is active. It is not enough to simply recognize a sign and then do nothing. True awareness demands response. It compels us to evaluate our lives, to turn from distractions, to align ourselves with what matters most. August 30 is not revealed so that we might be intrigued by its mystery or entertained by its symbolism. It is revealed as a call to readiness, a reminder that time is not endless, that opportunities are fleeting, and that destiny requires attention. The unaware may dismiss the day, treating it as ordinary, but the aware will pause, reflect, and choose differently. They will ask, what is this moment asking of me? What must I change? How can I step into alignment with the purpose that time itself is pointing me toward? In this sense, awareness becomes a gift. It opens our eyes to see what others cannot, and it positions us to act while others hesitate. August 30 stands as a test of our awareness, an invitation to open our eyes, awaken from slumber, and step into the unfolding plan with clarity and courage. To be unaware is to remain bound to the surface. To be aware is to enter into the mystery and find within it the direction we were meant to follow. Every appointed time carries with it a tension, a balance that has existed since the beginning. The balance between judgment and mercy. Time itself does not unfold in neutrality. It is charged with consequence. What we sow, we reap. What a nation chooses, it must face. What an individual embraces, it must live out. Yet, alongside that law of consequence, there exists mercy, the possibility of reprieve, the chance for restoration. August 30 embodies this very balance. It is not merely a day that declares what must come. It is also a day that offers the opportunity to turn, to change, to seek mercy before judgment takes its full course. Without this balance, time would be nothing but a harsh ledger of mistakes. With it, time becomes a stage for transformation. Judgment is not to be misunderstood as mere punishment. It is the revealing of truth, the exposure of what has been hidden, the bringing forth of consequences that were set in motion long before. When a society strays from justice, when corruption becomes embedded, when lies are exalted over truth, judgment inevitably arrives. It may come through upheaval, through collapse, or through exposure, but it always comes. And yet, side by side with judgment is mercy, offering the chance to turn from that path before the full weight of consequence falls. Mercy is the pause before the storm, the light that breaks through the darkness, the invitation to change course. Without judgment, we would never face the reality of our actions. Without mercy, we would never be given the chance to escape their weight. August 30, in its prophetic significance, reflects this tension. For some, it may be a marker of reckoning, the moment when what has been sown comes to harvest. For others, it may be the reminder of mercy's door, still open, still calling, still offering the chance to return. To those who ignore it, the day may pass like any other. But for those who discern it, the day becomes a summons to choose. Will we continue down a path that leads to destruction, or will we seek the mercy that can turn the course? This balance is not just global or national. It is personal. Every life holds moments when the weight of consequence presses in, but alongside it, the possibility of mercy stretches out its hand. August 30 is one such moment that brings this duality into sharp focus. The greatness of mercy is that it does not erase truth, but redeems it. It takes the brokenness revealed by judgment and transforms it into something new. But mercy is never forced. It must be received. To acknowledge the balance of judgment and mercy on August 30 is to recognize that we are standing in a place of decision. The date itself whispers both warning and hope, both consequence and grace. To awaken to this balance is to realize that no matter how great the judgment, mercy is always greater, and no matter how far we have strayed, there is still time to turn, if only we will respond. Awareness of an appointed time is not enough if it does not lead to alignment. To see the sign and to remain unchanged is to miss the very reason the sign was given. August 30 is not only about the unfolding of history in the world around us, it is about the alignment of our own lives with the purpose for which we were created. Alignment means to bring our steps into harmony with the direction of destiny, to shift from drifting aimlessly to walking with intention. Each of us has been entrusted with a role, a calling, a measure of influence, and when time reaches a turning point, the question is never just what will happen out there. The deeper question is always, how will I respond, and will I align myself with what is being revealed? The danger of appointed times is that they come and go while people remain unchanged, but the gift of appointed times is that they invite us to make decisions that alter the course of our lives forever. Personal alignment with purpose begins with recognizing that purpose is not self-invented. It is discovered, revealed, and embraced. Many live in pursuit of goals that are shallow, chasing what others applaud, but those pursuits often crumble when tested by the weight of destiny. True purpose is not about what pleases the crowd. It is about what aligns with truth. August 30 challenges us to examine our lives and ask whether we are walking in that truth. But are our choices aligned with the deeper reason we are here, or have we been swept away by distractions and illusions? Alignment requires courage because it often means letting go of what is familiar or comfortable in order to embrace what is right. It demands humility because it requires us to admit that our way is not always the way of purpose. And it calls for faith because stepping into alignment often means walking into the unknown, trusting that time itself is carrying us toward what was meant for us all along. Throughout history, those who aligned with purpose during pivotal times became instruments of change. They were not always celebrated in their own day, but their choices rippled across generations. Some chose to stand for justice when corruption prevailed, others chose truth when lies dominated, and others chose compassion when hatred filled the air. Each act of alignment carried power, shaping not only their own lives, but the lives of countless others. August 30 carries that same potential. It is not simply about observing history, it is about participating in it. Each of us is being asked, will you align your life with what matters most, or will you continue to drift? Alignment transforms awareness into action. It takes the recognition of patterns, the understanding of balance, and the urgency of the moment, and channels them into choices that bring our lives into harmony with destiny. August 30 becomes a mirror in which we see ourselves not just where we are, but where we must go. It is a reminder that the future is not shaped by chance, but by alignment, by those willing to take the signs seriously and bring their lives into order with the purpose that time itself is pointing toward. To align is to prepare, and to prepare is to be ready for whatever unfolds next. Revelation is never given for curiosity alone. It is given to bring transformation. The unveiling of mysteries, the uncovering of hidden significance, the awareness of prophetic timing, all of these serve a higher purpose, to change us. August 30, in all of its weight and mystery, is not simply about foretelling events or pointing out patterns in history. It is about awakening us to transformation. To encounter revelation and remain the same is to betray its very meaning. Revelation is like light breaking into a darkened room. It exposes what is hidden, it redefines what is seen, and it invites us to step into a new way of living. The secret about August 30 is not meant to burden us with fear, nor to leave us paralyzed with speculation. Its true power lies in its ability to turn our hearts, redirect our steps, and prepare us to walk into what is coming with strength and clarity. Transformation through revelation is not instantaneous. It is a process. It begins when our eyes are open to see what we had not seen before, when the ordinary suddenly takes on extraordinary meaning. From there, it requires response. Awareness without response leaves us unchanged, but revelation that leads to action becomes transformation. August 30 stands as a moment of choice. Will we allow its significance to reshape the way we think, speak, and act? Or will we treat it as another fleeting curiosity, soon forgotten? Those who take revelation seriously find themselves walking differently. Their priorities shift. Their relationships take on new depth. Their decisions reflect a deeper wisdom. Transformation is not about adding new information to our minds. It is about allowing that information to reshape who we are and how we live. Throughout the ages, those who embraced transformation through revelation became lights in their generation. They were set apart not because they were more gifted, but because they responded when others ignored. They allowed the unveiling of mysteries to humble them, to strengthen them, and to propel them into new levels of purpose. August 30 carries that same potential. It whispers that change is not only possible but necessary, that revelation is not given to entertain us, but to equip us. If history is turning, if patterns are converging, if judgment and mercy are meeting, then we cannot remain as we were. Transformation is demanded, and revelation is the catalyst that brings it to pass. In the end, the mystery of August 30 is not about the date itself, but about the change it can spark within us. The world may shift, nations may tremble, events may unfold in ways that capture headlines, but the greatest transformation will be within the hearts of those who choose to awaken. Revelation becomes the doorway through which we pass from slumber into awareness, from distraction into alignment, from fear into strength. And so, the secret about August 30 is this: it is not only about what will happen around us, but about what must happen within us. For if we are transformed, then no matter what unfolds, we will be ready, not shaken, but steadfast, not lost, but anchored, not blind, but alive with the clarity of purpose that revelation was always meant to bring.